Hey everyone, I'm here today to take a look at the Hasbro Ghostbusters Afterlife Fright Features action figures of the 4 main Ghostbusters. These figures are based on the movie designs but given a bit more of a cartoony look, and they're pretty basic figures. They've only got 5 points of articulation, which is good for just younger kids and trying to market Ghostbusters to a new generation, but they're also very reminiscent of the real Ghostbusters toy line from Kenner. So any older collectors who had the Kenner figures when they were young will probably enjoy these because they're going to fit in with the older toys, and really these are the kind of figures that would have been great to have had back in the Kenner days as variants based on the movie designs. They all have exactly the same body, just different name tags and different head sculpts, and obviously Winston's hands are painted black as well, but otherwise they are exactly the same, so they don't have unique body types for each figure like the Kenner Real Ghostbusters toys did. But there's a lot more detailing to these than the Kenner ones, which were based on the cartoon designs, which were simplified. You've got a lot more detailing to the pockets and things, multiple pockets on the body and the legs. So there's quite a lot of nice detailing to the straps on the Proton Pack as well. You've got the pads on their elbows, the kind of military webbing style belt around their waist as well. Then a few more pockets sculpted on the legs. And then the boots are all the same. And some people would have liked Peter Venkman's trouser legs to have been out of his boots, because in the movies very often he didn't tuck his pant legs into his boots like the other Ghostbusters did. But it doesn't bother me too much really. But it would have kind of been nice if he had had a unique leg sculpt. And then there's the Proton Packs, which are pretty nicely detailed as well, quite accurate to the movie. The only problem with the Proton Packs though is that the wand won't fit on the other way round, the way it's kind of supposed to in the movies. If you do that, you end up bending the wand too much. See here I've got Ray's wand attached to the pack the way they are in the movies, and it's really bending the handle, and I think if you left them like this on display it would end up warping the handle permanently. So I tend to just put the wands on kind of upside down really. I know it's not accurate to the movie, but at least it stops them from getting bent and warped. It's kind of a shame, but because the plastic is very rubbery, because the plastic for the wire is the same as the plastic for the gun itself, so it's going to warp if you put them on the right way around. Got a really nice logo on the side there, all of mine are painted well. That's the sort of thing that can easily not end up getting a good paint job, very small details like that, but considering these are only cheap action figures, the paint job's really nice on all of them I've found. Because of the minimal articulation, you can't get the Ghostbusters to hold the wand in an attack pose with both hands. They just kind of hold it out in front like that, as if they were holding out the PKE meter, which is a shame none of them come with a PKE meter, because that would look pretty good holding it out like that. But for the wand it looks a bit odd being held like that, but really with this kind of articulation there's not much else you can do with that. And there's a close-up of the faces. There's Ray and Egon, and even though they've been given a bit more of a cartoony look, they're still very recognisably those characters. Though I do still think that this looks kind of like the cartoon Peter. He reminds me of cartoon Peter Venkman, so it's weird thinking of that as Ray. And then Peter and Winston. These are really nice figures, even though there are a few little problems because of the articulation, like not being able to get the gun in their hand the way you might want to for an attack, and the gun's not fitting on the Proton Pack the right way around without bending. These are only cheap figures, and if you look at the quality of the old Kenner ones, they had problems as well, and these are, you know, meant to tie in with those and just be nice simple figures for kids to get. And for a comparison, here are the new Ghostbuster figures with the old Kenner Real Ghostbusters figures. And even though the scale's pretty much the same, the Kenner ones are slightly shorter, except for Egon. So here we've got Winston. Here's Ray, who really looks different. It's weird seeing how different they look. Ray's quite short and fat and ginger. And you can also see the difference in the detailing of the uniform, where the real Ghostbusters figures, they had some pockets sculpted in onto the chest there, but not the same level of detail as the new ones, and the real Ghostbusters figures didn't have any pockets on the legs or anything. Both got the logo and the elbow pads. The elbow pads aren't painted on these new figures, so they don't stand out that much, but they are sculpted on. And the difference in the Proton Packs as well. And I think it probably would have worked better if the new proton packs had a cotton cable like that rather than the plastic one. That would have put less stress on the proton wand when putting it on the proton pack. Here's Peter, who always had those really green eyes in the original toy. Egon! And if you've got the original figures but you don't have these new ones yet, this will give you an idea of the size, because these new ones are the same size as Egon, who was a bit taller than the other Ghostbusters in the real Ghostbusters line. And also for comparison, I'll bring in the Extreme Ghostbusters Egon, who looks like a kind of shrunken little old man. And these proton packs fit in very similarly to the old Kenner ones, where they just clip into a hole in the back. There's a peg on the proton pack that fits in there. It just holds in with friction really. But the peg hole is different to the real Ghostbusters ones, so you can't mix and match. You couldn't give these new proton packs to the old Ghostbusters because the peg hole is bigger on those, so the proton pack would just fall straight out. And just like the real Ghostbusters and Extreme Ghostbusters toy lines, each Ghostbuster comes with a little ghost. There are a couple of variants. There is a Peter and a Winston who come with a Terror Dog and Slimer, and I was really looking forward to getting those, but unfortunately I couldn't find those in the UK. The only ones I could find were the Peter and Winston, who came with just repainted ghosts from Egon and Ray, which is really disappointing. So you've got basically two that are exactly the same here, just painted a different colour. But with these, there's a button on the back you press, and it makes the face kind of burst open. It doesn't work that well on mine. I don't know if other people have this problem, but you push it and it bursts open. You can see the tongue there and some teeth kind of move. Then on this one, which is this weird sort of fat little child, you press the button on the back of him, and this one I find really awkward. There, he pops open. I like the face inside this one, that kind of weird monstrous face with the uneven eyes and teeth. And I guess these are designed for children's fingers to use, not my big adult hands. But they're quite nice designed little ghosts. And here they are with the real Ghostbusters ghosts that came with the figures. And I guess this is deliberate, that they are actually painted the same colour as the ghosts that came with the Kenner figures. You got the yellow, the kind of orangey, a blue. And then this one doesn't quite match up. That one's pink and this one's more of a sort of, I don't know, browny red colour, but they're almost the same, so I guess that must be deliberate, that the ghosts that come with these new figures are the same colours as the ghosts that came with the Kenner figures. I kind of like that little detail. And here's a couple of the Extreme Ghostbusters ghosts that came with the figures as well thrown in. This one came with Egon and that one came with Kylie, and that's Slimer, and I think that was the first to scale Slimer toy we got. All the Slimers that were released by Kenner were really big and didn't scale with the figures. Well, that Slimer goes quite well with these new figures because they're given a bit more of a cartoony style. That cartoony looking Slimer, which is from Extreme Ghostbusters, doesn't look out of place with them. So I think he kind of looks alright with them. And that's the thing with this new toy line, because it is the same size as the old Kenner one, these older toys do scale quite well with them if you've got Ecto 1 or the old Firehouse playset. So here's Lewis and Janine from the Kenner Real Ghostbusters line as well. And hopefully we'll get them in Wave 3, because I think Wave 2 is going to be the kids from the new movie. But if the toy line does well and we get a Wave 3, it'd be really nice to get Janine and Lewis, especially in their Ghostbusters 2 designs. Because in Ghostbusters 2, Janine looked far more like the cartoon. She had the red hair and the funky glasses. And Lewis got to wear the Ghostbusters uniform. And if I'm going to get a Lewis toy, I want him in the uniform wearing a proton pack. And here they are with the Plasma series collector's line, which are far more detailed. They've used that kind of face scanning technology that Hasbro use with their Marvel Legends figures, so you've got really realistic looking face sculpts on these, a lot more articulation and detail, really great figures. But I do like these new ones as well, and I guess part of that's nostalgia because I like the old Kenner line, but I don't know, it's just fun having more simplistic and slightly cartoony looking versions of the movie Ghostbusters, like I think a lot of us wished had been in the Kenner line back in the day. And then there's Kylie from the Extreme Ghostbusters toy line, which was made by Trendmasters, and they are a bit smaller, as you saw earlier with Egon, so they're not quite to scale with the real Ghostbusters and these movie Ghostbusters. And here they are displayed inside the real Ghostbusters Firehouse, and I highly doubt we will ever get a Firehouse playset for these figures, so if you've got the original one, these do interact with it pretty well. They scale up nicely, look quite good in there. And because these are the same scale as the real Ghostbusters, they will fit in the real Ghostbusters Ecto-1, even though there is a new movie-style Ecto-1 coming out specifically for these figures. If you can't find it yet, they will fit in this old one. And you can just see Winston in there. And on the other side, I've got Ray sitting there. Now, this old Ecto-1 only had 3 seats, but I was used to take the 3rd seat out of the back and then just put the other 2 Ghostbusters in kind of sideways to fit them in like this. As well as being to scale with the real Ghostbusters toys, these figures also scale quite well with Scooby-Doo toys, which means that if you've got things like the Haunted Mansion playset, which I've got in the background here, these Ghostbusters look quite good displayed with that as well, as if this is a house that they're visiting to bust some ghosts. There's a look at them inside the haunted house. And I do love this haunted house playset, because as well as going well with Scooby-Doo and real Ghostbusters figures, it also looks pretty good with Taos and the Crypt. If anyone collects the old Taos and the Crypt Keeper toys, this house looks almost identical to the Crypt Keeper's house in that cartoon. Not that I want to get too sidetracked with the haunted house, but it's just such a cool playset. So he can see the Crypt Keeper, one of the new Ghostbusters figures, and the Creep from the Toony Terrors. And Toony Terrors is another line which kind of fits in well with these new Ghostbusters. Some of them are a bit taller, like Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees are about 1 inch taller than these new Ghostbusters figures, but then other figures in the line, like the Creep here, are about the same size. And they're done in that cartoony style as well. So if you wanted to have these movie Ghostbusters running around after Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers or something, they do fit quite well. So thanks for joining me for this look at the Fright Features Ghostbusters from Hasbro's new Afterlife toy line, and a bit of a comparison with all the other Ghostbusters toy lines over the years to give you an idea of how they fit in. These are really great figures. Part of me kind of likes them more than the collector's line, which is weird, because normally I prefer collector figures that are more detailed and got better articulation. Maybe it's just because they're new, I'm kind of all excited about them, but there's just something really fun about these figures. Hopefully they'll become more easily available, because at the minute they seem quite hard to get hold of, even in America, let alone in the UK. I couldn't believe it when I stumbled upon these. I haven't seen them anywhere in the UK, except for this one shop that I didn't expect to see them in. I almost had an orgasm when I saw them and had to gobble them up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.